Hi, welcome. In this video, I'm just going to provide a little bit of insight into the circle method technique. And what the circle method technique is meant to do is to help. It's another interaction, relational interaction. So everything's an opportunity to create change. So the circle method technique is designed to bring the dog handler, dog owner, better positioned into harmony in such a way that you can start to think about getting a dog off the leash. And this technique too is a foundational technique to take back the walk. So because again, when the dog is holding power, the dog is expressing power, that state of mind, they're either going to try to surge out in front, which is generally the case. They're going to try to get it in front of the walk, because again, mind and body are connected. So where the where the mind goes, the body's going to follow, or vice versa. But it all aligns that way. So as the dog is trying to get out front, the concept of this technique is you're using your whole body to block. Okay, so what you're doing is you're bringing your dog back into the heel, what's defined as the heel position. But this is a defined position. This is at the relational level. That's why I work off this position this way, off the sit position. It's the state because it's a staging area, so I can create my moments, what I define as follower moments. So what you'll see, it's kind of like a line coming through me. So the physical manifestation of that with the dog is you'll see the head turn in during these moments. Okay, you'll see the dog either look up at me, or the head will turn in slightly as these moments, as they take hold. As each moment takes hold, you'll see the dog's decision-making process being impacted, okay, and turning in. So the whole focus here is you have to kind of step back. Instead of looking at the corrective model, you have to look at the whole context of relational change. How we're getting from point A to point B and redefining the relationship follows this pathway. So it's like an echo. So every time you're flexing the leash, it forces the tachometer of your mind to go over. That's why touch is very important. I tell people to continue to push and touch on your dog. But it's not about, and this is the other issue, it's not about overwhelming your dog with physical force. I mean, you'll see that the tools that I use are designed to transition into a smooth and fluid type of bringing influence over a dog in a smooth and fluid way, and it's all designed to level out, to follow the level path right from the mind to the physical. So it's all level. So that's why I don't use choke chains, because again, once the power of the mind comes online, once your thinking processes start to change, the power comes from the body, from how you think. So it's mostly you're defining it mostly through your techniques, and this is one of the techniques, the circle method, where you're using your whole body. So this teaches you to be all in, to invest everything in. So, and the circle method, what it is, it's a highly focused exercise. So your focus should stay right in this circle area, okay, with creating the moments. Now, as you're doing the circle method, you don't need a lot of room to do it, but again, the concept here, if the dog is trying to get in front of you, really surge out in front, in a powerful way, your circles are going to have to be tighter because you have to block more. Okay, so you'll be making some contact with your body, with your knee area. But when you do this technique, it's not meant to hurt the dog. It's not meant to ram in hard on the dog. It's natural pace. Okay, so you're just keeping your natural pace. So you're tapping with the leash at the same time. Okay, to create moments even as you're in motion. Okay, so there are several dynamics, relational dynamics, all happening at the same time here. It does take some practice. It takes some focus. So when you do this exercise, when you begin it, you want to start just doing it a minute or two. You don't want to prolong it too long because it is about there's a learning curve here with this. So it's a very focused exercise. So you want to commit a minute or two. Then you can extend it out a little longer. But the other issue too is depending on how much power the dog's holding, this can be a highly challenging, type of interaction for the dog. So the other thing is you're not going to extend that too long either. So, there's a couple of dynamics happening that you don't want to, overdo it. So you always want to try to end whatever interaction you're doing to create relational change. You always want to try to end on a good note. Okay, but in the same, theme is you need to start strong and end strong. Okay, so starting strong, ending strong, end on a good note. Good note means that the dog there's some challenge. Okay, there's going to be a little resistance going on, but how you direct that kinetically, how you move the leash, really matters. It helps to displace that challenge, redirect it, set it up so I can create another moment. So there's all sorts of little things happening here, but I'm going to show you. But when I said about ending on a positive note, you want to try to end on just before it kind of hits the tipping point. Okay, you can kind of cut what I call cutting the razor's edge a little bit and kind of push things along a little bit more each day, which you should be doing. But you should know that the dog is only going to give you so much leadership per day. It's like a graph scale. It's like 2%, 2%, 2%. So the dog isn't going to hand you the lead rollover in one night. It's relational. Dogs are relational beings. It's about. That's why show training is an intervention. You're starting to change. You're starting to redefine your relationship. The dog's starting to perceive you differently. But it takes a while because it has to change how you think. So it's all designed to create that type of structure. And we'll talk about structure on some of my videos. I'm talking about how to set up a proper structure to assist in the role changing process. But again, this is just one technique to help to really get the walk back. So what you're doing is you're doing circles, and then your circles are going to get a little wider, and then this is something you do, let's say, in your driveway area, and then you can start to hit the street. And then by the time you're hitting the street and going straight lines, you modify this technique. You're going to cut in a little bit with your knee and put your dog back into the sit. So we're going to see in the structure of this circle method, I'm adding lots of stopping sits on it, because again, don't want to make yourself dizzy. If you're walking in a circle, you make yourself dizzy pretty quick. You want to be stopping so many feet, putting your dog into the sit, tap, 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 okay, create some moments. You can see me doing it. And then what I'm going to add on here too is every so many sits, I'm going to be putting the dog into the down position, okay, which represents a more submissive state, okay, a more influence coming over the dog. But again, how you're doing that relationally, at the relational level, you're kind of collapsing the dominoes fall. You're kind of collapsing the mind, okay? So therefore, it's not physical force. So when you're doing this, always better to work in a low distracting area first, because when you're continuing from the sit position with the push-pull technique and then following through on the down, you have to have a couple of dominoes collapsed in the mind first. So when I reference that, it means that it works off a better sit where you really know that you have a good moment going on, because the dog is already in that state and you just keep pushing. But the pushing isn't meant to be aggressive. It's not meant to overwhelm the dog. So it's not really the physical force creating, it's the power of how you think. So the imagery, you need to paint the picture as though the dog's already in the down position. Okay, so then you just lock in. So there's a stopping point where you're not pushing any harder. Okay, you're locked in, you just paint the picture, and the dog generally will go into the down. And but included with that is the right relational dynamics are happening. Okay, but if the dog doesn't go into a down, don't take it as you're losing something. Because ultimately you're not. You just continue. Don't keep pushing. Continue forward, and then redo it again. But try not to ever, because the dog can kind of sense your energy, how you think. When the down doesn't happen, don't take it as a defeat, because the dog can kind of sense that. Okay, so you have to kind of keep clearing your mind out, rebooting your mind. It's always about being in the moment. Don't hold on to negativity. Always go into the approach of leadership, winning. Okay, but winning in the sense of your dog's really winning. You're winning, and your dog's winning because you're bringing them into the follower script, and that's a happy place for the dog to be. Even though within the context of an intervention, okay, this is important. There's some challenge, but that's nature. Okay, that's why I tell people. I joke with people. I say, if you're doing my methods right, your dog should hate your guts for 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, but that's not meant to be like human hate. It's meant to be, it makes sense to the dog. Okay, it's a natural progression. The dog ultimately knows that you have their best interest at heart. Okay, this is the thing about reconciling nature, reconciling the information, reconciling what this represents through an intervention. You're doing your dog a favor. So it's not about being mean or cruel to your dog, although some people want to suggest that, want to kind of play that up to promote their ideology, which ultimately puts you in a worse position generally, because it doesn't bring people into the right relationship. Dogs are relational beings, so you have to really look at what's going on here. So this is no different than being a parent, okay? And so the lines I draw, the boundaries, how I'm setting it all up, falls within that script, okay? So I'm going to take dog out. I'm going to do some of this, and you can get an idea how this works. Again, right away when you come out, you want to bring the dog into the staging here. So into the sit, push-pull technique. Keep putting the dog in the sit a little bit. You want to start strong. In, back in. And usually the first couple moments are going to be more difficult because the dog could be focused on, in this case, the food dish or whatever. So you have to get that script going. So I'll just redo the sit here. Hey, sit. And then I'm going to start to move. Again, as I'm moving, stop every 2 feet, push, pull, move again, right away, nudging, walking in. I'm walking in, flexing a little bit as I walk. Sit. You can say sit as you're pushing, but again, as you're pushing, we're building the strength of the commands, okay? Where this is still at the intervention level here, okay? This is still power still has to be shifted, okay? During the board and train process here with Muniko, it's come on really well, but because Muniko is a service type dog, that has that drive. It's like you're a triathlete dog, okay? So every couple, sit, and then down. A down position, sit, heel. Push, pull, back, flex the leash, turn in. Now you'll see me kind of a little switcheroo go on here. I'm switching hands back and forth with the leash a little bit because even in that technique, hey, stop. I'm gaining some advantage here. So as I switch around, switch the leash. And I'll explain that technique here in a second. But what I'm doing here is sometimes I have to gain a little advantage here by switching the leash a little bit early to the other hand. Because some dogs will, because they're trying to hold some position here, because they don't want to be right beside you like this, they want to gain a little bit of position, they'll try to move away slightly, and therefore if I already have the hand switched, and I'll put them back. And generally, it's harder to focus when I'm doing videos and talking because, again, to do this rightly, your entire focus has to be on this technique. Okay, so I'm doing the video here for the sake of helping people, and I can get away with keeping pretty good focus, but that's why you'll see people sometimes are talking and they're not focusing. If you're talking, you're not focusing. So it's what you see in the video is what you don't see when I'm doing this too. So. It's all about, again, explaining the technique, but again, trying to keep focus at the same time. But basically, the goal here is to, the position you bring your dog into matters during this technique. So the script what you have to do is really define the script as it takes hold. So for example, when I'm doing this, you see Munico, even with Munico wants to try to move out a little bit, okay? And so what I'm doing is I'm trying to stay a move ahead, and that's important with your dog. So to stay a move ahead, anticipating the dog is going to try to create a little bit of position, okay, as you start to do the push on the bum area. You have to anticipate that they're going to try to do it anyway, because this is, again, at the intervention level, the dog is in some resistance going on here a little bit to this grip. So therefore what you're doing is, based on what's happening, you'll move the leash over a little earlier to the opposite hand, so this hand on the side of the dog is free and clear, but I'm still moving. Okay, so what happens, because the dog will sense that you're about to bring them into position, and they'll start to scoot away a little bit. They'll try to move away to try to stay a move ahead of you so that they can sit, with a few inches away from you, and that's not good because we need to bring the dog in. We have to tighten that script up. But so as the dog is trying to do that, see, if I do the technique a little early, then my hand's free and clear, and I'm still moving, and the dog's saying, well, what happened? He didn't do anything yet, and the dog is going to scoot back in, and then I just bring the dog into position. But eventually, I don't have to do that anymore, because once the dog comes into right relationship and harmony, then you'll see the resistance levels go way down. Okay, everything lines up perfectly, and then the walks line up, and I'm not having to interrupt or create these moments this way. Okay, everything tempers back. So that's the thing about this. I mean, everything's about the intervention at the intervention level, what your goals are. It's about right thinking, and it's about proper focus. That's really important. It's to have the right focus when you do this. So have your cup of coffee. Don't do it when you're not feeling well. Do it when you feel really good for a few minutes, and you're like, I feel really good. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this method for a couple minutes, and I'm going to have really good focus, okay, and do it. But again, I want to qualify this on this video that these methods, okay, involve bringing the dog under influence, okay. So therefore, you're doing them at your own risk, okay, because I really recommend that you seek out a professional, okay, to help, because you're dealing with psychology. You're dealing with somebody who can be deceived into just how much power that dog's holding. Okay, I'm trained. I'm a professional. I'm really good at this, at breaking this all down for people, and people need that type of one-on-one help. So be very aware of that when you use any of my videos. You're doing it at your own risk, but the risk levels, when you have someone like myself or a professional there, it's all about taking that risk away. But if you're doing it, we're not very good sometimes at judging our own psychology or just how much power the dog's holding, because you're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with, there's a lot of deception here with how dogs and why dogs move around, the motives underlying that. So you have to be able to discern it. So anyway, but this is the method involved. You'll see me as I'm doing it. This is just another interaction involving many other interactions which are going to create relational change. So thanks very much for watching.